Now, the way they've been not playing them, his trade value is probably not too high, though. That's the unfortunate part for them right now. So the question on the table now should be, do you trade Jonathan Kuminga and try to get a good piece back for him? Like maybe trade Jonathan Kuminga and throw in another player. Like I know they pretty attached to Brandon Przenski, but I don't know. Maybe you should consider putting him up in a package to try to get another suitable player. I mean, that is trading away young asset. You got to think about that. You do have to think about the future, but let's be real. Is Brandon Przenski going to be your future? I don't think so. So go ahead and package him. If you're not going to play Kuminga and you don't think he can be the future of your franchise, trade Jonathan Kuminga and maybe, at first initially for me, I thought a good replacement for the Jimmy going down like this could be they could go after Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, the Warriors. I remember when I pitched this to a couple of people. One guy was telling me that the Warriors need size and rebounding, and of course, Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't a good rebounder. I agree there, but here's the thing. Um, Also, Jimmy Butler wasn't a great rebounder either. So pretty much you're trying to replace what you lost. You know, you're not necessarily trying to go for something that you didn't have. At least I don't think that's the Warriors' plan. So Jaren Jackson, he brings some scoring. He certainly gives you more rim protection, which is something that you never had. Like the Warriors haven't had rim protection in quite a while now, to be honest with you. And Jaren Jackson is one of those bigs that can spread the floor, which Golden State tends to like. You know how Steve Kerr loves to play the small ball lineup and put in bigs that can stretch the floor. So Jaren Jackson can do that for you. However, here's another thing. Somebody else pitched to me, the same guys, and he said the Warriors should go after Michael Porter Jr. Now that possibly could be a good trade because that brings you another legit score. Contrary to what the Nikola Jokic fans were trying to push to you that Michael Porter Jr. can't score, he has to be set up by Jokic. We figured that out since he's been with the Nets that that's false, right? So we maybe they could go after Michael Porter Jr. Now I don't think he's going to be able to provide much to them as far as the defensive side. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm not too familiar with how well of a defender Porter Jr. is. I didn't pay close attention to him like that, but to my knowledge, he's not a great defender. I don't know if I'll say he's a bad one, but he's not a great one. So he won't help them as far as the defensive side of the table, but he absolutely can provide another option as far as scoring. But they definitely need that with Jimmy go. Unfortunately, he's not a person that can draw fouls well, like you know Jimmy can do, which is something a luxury to have when your team is struggling. So yeah, this is really bad. It's not looking good at all for the Golden State Warriors, and like I said, I feel really bad for Steph Curry because pretty much in order for them to even make the playoffs, they would have to drive him into the ground. What's good, Joe Montgomery? Um, Pretty much, Steph Curry will have to kind of go into God mode just to pull them into the playoffs. And even if he does, they're not going to obviously win unless they're able to work some magic, and be able to bring in a suitable star that can pair up with Steph Curry and make a run. Because me personally, I truly believe that if Steph Curry didn't get injured against the Wolves, I think the Golden State Warriors could have won the title last year. And Steph Curry could all but pretty much after that, I think you gotta say it's Steph Curry's era by far, and it's really no comparison. Because you know how these false narratives and these LeBron clowns been lying, saying this is LeBron's era and he's the GOAT and all this dumb shit. Uh, with Steph Curry winning 5 rings on LeBron's watch, there's no way you can legitimately push that anymore unless you just flat out delusional, which his fan base is. And speaking of the LeBron James fan base, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So now we're going to go ahead and cover LeBron James not being an all-star. Now this one right here is good. So I know a lot of y'all know, and of course the LeBron fanboys not happy about this because they very delusional. They want to keep lying for their fans. He said not only are they delusional, they gay. Hey, uh, I think I call them, ain't gonna lie, I call them fruity people a lot all the time myself. So you feel because they just say the weirdest things that men just shouldn't say, and it makes me question them. You feel me? But I'm not gonna go too deep up in that. But anyways, like I said, LeBron James has been named not an NBA starter for the first time in 21 years. He had 21 consecutive years of being an NBA All-Star starter. And that ends this year. And to be honest with you, it should have been ended. But I know the delusional fans, the blind witnesses, as Skip Bayless called them, would say different. But at the same time, we have to consider that this is fan based voting when it comes to the NBA starters. And speaking of the fans, which is what considers whether or not you're an all star or not, um, that's the reason LeBron James is an all star starter this year. And then I've noticed that the LeBron James fan, they love to hate on players that's better than him. They are never admit it, of course, because they flustered in their own delusion. But Steph Curry is better than him. They know it deep down in their career. They know it. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit more in the next topic. But that's why every time Steph Curry accomplishes something, they want to hate on it, or if he um, lose or say he has a bad game or something, they want to bring it out because they love to attack players that they know are better than LeBron deep down in they souls. That's why they attack Kobe. That's why they attack Jordan. Players that they know are better than him. But anyways, he's not a starter, but he still could be considered and reserve. And this is very interesting because in my opinion, I don't think he deserves to be in the All Star at all. He doesn't deserve it at all. And it's fun. It's funny because a LeBron James fanboy told me that Steph Curry doesn't deserve to be a starter over Anthony Edwards, and he posted the stats of Steph Curry and Anthony Davis. And of course, the Timberwolves have a better record currently than the Golden State Warriors. And judging from that injury that we just saw from Jimmy, that's not going to change, right? But what these idiots doesn't understand is the starters are considered by the fans. It has nothing to do with how well your production is. So that's first thing for the LeBron clowns. And then this is the craziest part. They didn't keep that same energy when it came to LeBron James being an all-star starter in 2002 in 2022 and 2023. And on top of that, not only was he a starter, he was the captain. Because you remember that's when they were doing that team LeBron versus team, or the two captains of the East and the West, right? So this is the thing. They had a losing record that year against, when he was the captain. So you're talking about Steph Curry don't deserve to be a starter over Ant because they got a better record and he has better stats. But you can say the same thing about LeBron James in 2022. Yet he was a starter and you guys didn't say anything. But it's just biasness and pure hatred because that's what they do. But anyways, I think it's left up to the coaches now to decide whether or not LeBron is even in reserve because he's currently in the running for an All-Star, but he hasn't been guaranteed a spot. Like the fanboys are saying, oh, he's going to be a reserve though, so he's still an All-Star. That's not necessarily true. He could be, he could very much not make it. Now, do I think the NBA are going to pull some strings and let him in? Absolutely. I hope they don't, but I believe they will. So, what I think should happen is they go ahead and be honest, let somebody else get in that deserves to be in, that deserves to be an all-star. Like, I'm not sure if Jamal Murray is a guaranteed starter yet. I mean, reserve yet, but he absolutely should be. There's a lot of people just having breakout, seasons that deserve to be in the All-Star game this year, especially after that atrocious and egregious stunt that LeBron pulled last year, stopping Norman Powell from making the All-Star game last year by waiting until 2 hours before game time of the All-Star game to let people know he's not playing because his bum ass ankle hurting. He deliberately did that. Yeah, a lot of ugly ass niggas would try to say, we don't know that we reaching. But if you follow this guy's career, he deliberately did that because he's an attention whore. He loves to make everything about him. And he did that to make sure he got all the acknowledgement. Folks were like, oh, LeBron's not playing. So the fans showed you this year. Like, okay, you going to keep not playing on this. We're going to not vote for your ass at all. And on top of that, he doesn't deserve to.